Hey there, it's Christian from 7 Game Network, and today we're going to have a look at some of the upcoming Empire at War weapons that we can get our hands on very soon. There are some really cool looking weapons coming up in this set, and so I want to talk about them. Now the first one we're going to kick straight off with is the Relby V10 mortar gun. Now this is a 3-cost villain rogue weapon. Let's have a look at these die sides. It's got 3 damage sides and they're pretty big. It's got 2 black sides, which is really nice, and then a +3 as well. But it doesn't stop. Now that to me is already like with 3 cost, I'm like, yeah, that's fair. That seems for two black sides and the +3. I'm liking this a lot. But then it also has a 2 disrupt. Now the difference between a 1 disrupt and a 2 disrupt, that's massive, because a 2 disrupt wipes out your opponent's resources that they get for the turn. That one disrupt is fine, but a 2 disrupt is always a big difference, and you get a resource on it. Now that die seems worth 3 to me, it really does. So they then build in this action. If you've seen the card Salvo from the previous set, Spirit of Rebellion, this mortar gun has a built-in salvo. It says spend 2 resources and remove this die showing range damage to deal that damage to each of an opponent's characters. Now, even if this doesn't turn into a meta where we are getting lots of 3 and 4 character decks, that's just really good, because it's completely optional. You don't need to do it. You've still got just a fantastic die. But because the option is there, that you can go mental and do, let's say, 8 damage across, a 4 character deck. Or remember, it is showing range damage, so we can actually use it on the +3. That becomes really super strong. We pay a couple of extra resources and suddenly that +3 becomes a 6 straight up on a 2 character deck, or a 9, or a 12. I mean, it's fantastic. The other thing I like about a 3-cost nowadays is, I was going to kind of finish the video with this, but I'm going to stick it straight in at the start, because I think everybody needs to hear that control is going to be big in the next set, and I think the more weapons and upgrades that we can get that are getting to that 3 mark before we want them to stay on the table, and start viewing 1s and 2s really as I'm going to keep it around for a round, and then I'm going to overwrite, or maybe even less than a round, and I'm going to overwrite it. I think the better you're going to do out of it. And the fact that this is 3 is the old 2. What cost 2 resources in Awakenings? I think with looking at the characters we've got coming up and the myriad ways we've got of generating resources now, you're going to find more and more that 3-cost upgrades, they just don't feel as hard to get out as those 2-cost upgrades once did. Anyway, this Relby V10 as well, I just want to point out that it's basically Aura Singh's die in her upgraded version. You can discard a card to upgrade each one of those die faces, and apart from the resource on this Relby, it's basically the same die. So you pay 3 resources, it's almost like getting a training effect on Aura that's getting a better character die then, because it's got the sort of inherent upgraded ability. Really good. And you can imagine this on Balatik. Oh my goodness, if he gets to mortar gun, kill something, go off again, bang bang bang, it could be ridiculous, guys. And let's not even mention FN. Right, right. Next one I want to have a look at. So we'll look at a neutral rogue weapon, and that is the BD1 Cutter Vibro Axe. This is, I feel like a more specific weapon. It's another 3-cost weapon, and it has these die sides on. It's got a 2 black side. It's got a 3 melee. It's got a 3 melee 1-cost resource, a 3 melee 1-cost resource, and then 1 resource and 2 blanks. Now, again, that's another die with 3 damage sides on, and again they're all big. Now we've got to start paying for this one. We've got to pay 1 for each of those 3 sides. They are black, so it's not modifiers or anything like that. And the big thing that strikes me is that they've put this into Rogue. Now we know that the yellow faction can make resources for days. You know, whether you've got you know, characters like Unkar and Jabba and some of the resources that we've seen coming in, there are the supports we've seen coming in, you know, weapons cache and things like that. We have got loads and loads of ways of making resources in that faction, and I don't feel that paying for that 3 is going to be particularly difficult when you're running yellow characters, if you build it correctly, if you build it with that in mind. Now you could say, hang on a second, Christian, that's a 3 cost weapon and you're having to pay to use it. Like I said, I think we can make it work in that faction. Now all of that would be fine if it wasn't for the fact that it also has the ability, before this die deals damage to a character, you may remove all shields from that character. I'm kind of going to make another meta statement here. It is that, guys, heroes are on the up. Like, hero decks are going to be stronger now that we've got 3 sets in the game once Empire at War hits. That means Hero Blue and Hero Red are going to be shielding up. We've seen cards like Entrenched from the upcoming set, and there's several cards that lead me to think characters like Qui-Gon are going to be a little bit stronger again in this set, and that mono blue is going to be a thing. So with all those things considered, it feels like a weapon like this that can just remove those shields are going to be absolutely super valuable. And of course Vibra Knife is just going to cut straight through those shields. So in your melee builds, I really like this. This is going to help you to clear up those shields and allow other characters to get their damage through as well. So that's a brilliant inbuilt ability to go on top of a really healthy, damagey die. And even if you miss with it, you've still got a chance to make some resources for the next swing that you use for it. Really cool weapon. Right then, so let's have a look at a hero weapon. And I'm going to pick this, the A280 Blaster rifle. Now, and this is an interesting one. Sometimes, I mean, whether this is an exciting weapon, I'm not sure, but I think it's got a lot of utility. This, now looking at it, we can see it only costs 2, so immediately that's a benefit in so many ways. A 2 cost weapon, and you know, there aren't actually that many. Like it sometimes feels like, oh, that's where the curve is at. The 2s, there's loads of 2s. Well, actually, and there's not so many amazing good 2 drops now. We're starting to, as the pool expands, we're starting to just see more really good 3 cost weapons. So is this 2 cost weapon going to be worth its salt? Well, it has got 3 damage sides. That's a positive. However, they're all quite difficult to get. You've got the 2 for 1, which is a bit of a pain, and you've got a +1 and a +2. Now, this is a hero weapon, a red hero weapon. It's going to be part of, and traditionally when you're playing red hero, you probably end up playing quite a lot of upgrades, and you're rolling out quite a lot of dice. So I'm not too bothered about the +1 and +2. I think you're probably going to get that off fairly comfortably a lot of the time. The 2 for 1's a little bit awkward, but it also has a resource side built into it. And of course, I think if you're looking at another faction that really can build resources, I think second only to yellow is red. I mean, with characters like Akbar and Mon Mothma, with cards like Logistics and supports like Supply Line, red can really build resources as well, maybe even to rival yellow. So I feel like you probably can pay for the 2 for 1 when necessary, although we'd rather not. And quite frankly, it's got a decent little special on there. Remember I just mentioned about shields being more of a thing, and here we've got give 2 shields, 2 characters distributed as you wish. So overall it feels like, yes, it's a weapon, but it's a little more difficult to kind of get its damage out. And so I'm kind of viewing this almost more as like a utility type weapon. And of course, bearing in mind that I'm thinking a lot of the time we want to be ramping up into better weapons because there are just more of them available now. You know, this is a prime candidate to play out on your first turn, use it, maybe get a resource out of it, maybe get a couple of shields from it, or yeah, maybe poke a bit of damage through extra with it, you know, the 2 for 1 or the +2, and then rocket launcher over the top of it. But it's nice that we've got another good 2-cost weapon for red that, you know, man, rearming that for a 1, yeah, I'll take that every time. That's going to be great. So, you know, I quite like playing that out, overwriting it, and then rearming it back. I think that could be a strong play with this little blaster rifle. So, a really good utility weapon there. Now let's have a look at a oh, this is a strong weapon. So this is another 2-cost drop. It's another neutral weapon. It's the Electro Staff. Oh, this is really interesting. I really like this Electro Staff. There's a lot to like about it. The thing that jumps to my mind straight away is General Grievous. We've been wanting to see some red melee upgrades for him that are going to do the business. And, well, I think this one really does. Remember, Grievous comes with 3 black sides. So we have the 3 black melee sides. We have no issue that this is 3 blue modified sides. And also, of course, another character that we're thinking this can go with, of course, is the Magna Guard, which is coming out with this set, and it's the natural accompaniment to that. And that's got the same, you know, it's got the black damage sides. Now, of course, it has got to pay for its damage, as has Grievous. He's got the 2-2 and the 3 for 1. And this is where the ability on this Electro Staff becomes, well, it's fantastic. Because you don't have to pay for that die. And so, for me, I just see it's a 2-cost drop. I'm playing, you know, Grievous. I'm going to play this first round. I'm going to swing with Grievous. He's going to roll, I don't know, 8 damage, and he doesn't have to pay for any of it, remember? He doesn't have to pay for that 3 for 1. Like, that's huge. That's enormous. And that's going to happen quite a lot. Somewhere between, I think, on average, 5 to 8 damage. Grievous is, if you stick this onto Grievous first turn and roll him, that's what he's going to be capable of putting out if your opponent can't deal with it. So I think the Electro Staff's really strong. Now, the difficulty with it is that it kind of has, it's a 50% chance to be amazing and get the damage side, and then it's a 50% chance to be a bit meh, because it's got 1 disrupt, it's got 1 shield, and it's got that blank, and you're just never going to really want those. It's always going to be about those first 3 sides. Now, of course, the ability that's on it isn't always on ability, so that's really cool. You know, if that die gets dealt with or removed or something like that. Oh no, my bad, sorry, of course it's when it's modified by that die, so you do have to make sure that they are happening together. But that's what the aim is going to be. So there is this sort of like, it's a 50% great die and 50% really naff. But of course that can be said about many dice. For 2 resources, this feels like a brilliant upgrade for your Grievous, for your Magna Guard, and for our red melee characters going forwards. So the final one I'm going to talk about is a ridiculous weapon, and for a whole bunch of reasons. And it's the T7 Ion Disruptor rifle. This thing. To me, it's like the ultimate Timmy weapon that we've seen so far. It's a 5-cost villain legendary. To play it, you have to spot a red character. So that's a big drawback. So the first thing is you've got 2 big drawbacks here. That's a 5-cost weapon that you have to see. You have to see a red character. Now then, this die better be good. Well, it is pretty good, we've got to say. I just got 5 out of its 6 sides is damage. That makes it essentially the most consistent die that we've seen in the game. Now, in a game where there is so much inherent chance and that we're always trying to build to reduce that chance of RNG coming to bite us in the rear end, having a die that you can pretty much rely on to just put that damage out there no matter what is very strong. The sad thing is they've costed it appropriately. It's a 5 cost. That is just going to make it, I don't want to say prohibitively expensive, maybe that is the right word. The thing is, I know that lots of people are they're going to try this, they're going to try and make it work. Because of course, that you can't dismiss the 4 and the 5 damage side. That's big. Now again, you have to pay for it. That's what makes me go, that's making it 6 resources for this weapon. So it's this incredible investment, but that can have a massive return. And it is exciting. You cannot deny that having a 5 damage side die in the game isn't exciting, especially when some of them are that big. Now it's got this action. I think the action's a bit naff. I don't think the action helps it. Unless you've got some way of being really confident that it's not going to get removed. If you're able to see your opponent's hand, maybe you're playing this alongside yellow, you're going red yellow to make loads of resources to try and support this. I think you're going to. I think just discarding a card to turn it up. If it was turn it up 1 and resolve it, well, that would be amazing. But sadly, it's just turn it up 1 and it's just going to get removed. So yeah, this has got some big upsides and it can dish out huge amounts of damage. Having 3 black damage sides is really nice for enabling other modifiers, but it costs 5, guys. It's just painfully expensive. However, I'm waiting to see if there are some cool combos that people can pull off, some craziness with just generating massive amounts of resources in certain decks, that actually suddenly 5 isn't completely ridiculous for it, but I have a hard time seeing it. So there it is, 5 very interesting weapons, quite exciting, some of the things that we can be doing with these weapons and how they're going to fit into the competitive meta going forwards. So hopefully you enjoyed those. Love to hear your feedback. Guys, there's so much to talk about with all of these weapons and new cards that are coming out, so please do leave comments below the video, and if you want to get involved more, we've got the Patreon, so you can join that. We've got there's 20 of us all in it, and loads of discussions and chat going back and forth about the new set, so you're super welcome to come and join that community. And of course, any contributions you make is super great for me making these kind of videos. And if you want to check out some of the things, I go to swdestiny.com to look at some great articles. They've got some really cool writers over there, and of course other great videos like Tiny. And then I'll also check out, podcast wise, I check out the Knights of Ren. They're coming up for their year anniversary very soon, and they've been making consistently great content. So if you haven't checked that out yet and you want to get into your competitive Destiny, totally do. Anyway, until next time, keep enjoying your Destiny.